Okay, so I just saw Man of Steel. It came out here today, so I went to see it. I've waited 7 years for the movie, so as you would expect, it it wasn't an option for me not to see it today. So yeah, I saw Man of Steel, and if I had to rate it, I would give it a 5 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10 because, well, I'm not gonna give any spoilers or anything, but it could have been it could have been way better made. I mean, it had your regular plot. I mean, with movies nowadays, and it didn't look like it had Christopher Nolan's hand. I mean, you know what to expect when you see a Nolan movie. It. I'm sorry to disappoint all you Nolan fanboys like myself. I am a huge Nolan fanboy. I think he's the greatest thing that's ever happened to movies. But if you're a Nolan fanboy as much as I am, you would be not necessarily disappointed, but you would have expected a whole lot more and got a little less than what you. It looked like he had no. Anyways, this is not about Chris Nolan. This is about Man of Steel. Okay, so we have. It's basically an origin story, like you could have guessed from the trailers we've seen. It's an origin story about how Superman came and then, well, he had to save the world from Zod and blah blah blah. Yeah, well, that there were a lot of fight scenes. I mean, well, not necessarily fight scenes, but there was a lot of action. There was a lot of explosions and Kryptonian bashing and whatnot. I mean, I have to hand it. Michael Shannon displayed an incredible performance today. He put up. He was, as far as I'm concerned, he was the best. He was the best actor in the movie. Henry Cavill, for Superman, he did a pretty good job. I mean, it's hard to make Superman. It's hard to make him. What's the word I'm looking for? Relatable. That's the word I'm looking for. It's hard to make Superman relatable, and his bland personality was more than emphasized in this movie because, I mean, it's kind of like he has no personality at all. Russell Crowe was brilliant. Russell Crowe's scenes kept my heart racing. I mean, I loved Russell Crowe's scenes. I mean, he was really good. The casting was brilliant. Lawrence Fishburne, Diane Lane, Kevin Costner, Amy Adams, Henry Cavill, Michael Shannon. They were all great. But the story was a pretty good story. I mean, it wasn't like there was bad writing or bad acting. It was just pretty much the story could have been better portrayed. I mean, they had a good story, they had good actors, but they didn't do justice to the story they had. I mean, yeah, I understand that with Superman, there's only a little that you can do with how much you'd expect from the bad guys and whatnot. I mean, he's all invincible, so there's not much as opposed to conflict or basically for Superman, you're gonna need someone of his strength or more than one of him to be a bad guy in his story. But that still could have been way better done. It could have been way better done. That's what I thought. I mean, that's my opinion. I didn't like Iron Man 3. Well, I'm sure you've all seen Iron Man 3 by now, but I didn't like Iron Man 3 personally because the twist was ridiculous. It was a really good movie. Regardless of the twist, it was a very, very well acted, well scripted movie. The twist really pissed me off. It really pissed me off. So I gave Iron Man a 6 out of 10 because of the twist. I mean, how do you do that to the man? That's kind of like turning the Joker, making the Joker a joke. I mean, he is the Joker. He's the ultimate. It doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, we're not talking about Iron Man 3 here. Now, I'm just comparing it. I'm doing sort of like the Avengers versus Dark Knight. I mean, here with Man of Steel and Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, hands down, better movie. Way better movie. Better scripted. I think better acted. Well, not better scripted per se. I mean, better acted, better played out. I mean, you can't go wrong with Tony Stark, with a RDJ and Tony Stark. I mean, that was a really good. It was a really good movie. I was disappointed with the way it turned out, but it was a good movie. Man of Steel, on the other hand, I've waited 7 years for a good Superman movie since the debacle that was Superman Returns, I was looking for something to erase that memory, that horrid nightmare from my imagination, and to an extent, this did it. This wiped out the image of Superman Returns. That's forgotten, and it's, thank God that's gone. But I expected a whole lot more. It is gonna make a $1 dollars. I mean, it's gonna make a whole lot of money, a ton of money. Yeah, it will. But it's it's gonna get better with the sequels. I would think. I would expect. I would hope rather. It should get better with the sequels. This was kind of like a hit and miss. Well, they did miss to an extent. They did miss. I mean, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was a good time out with my buddies. But 5.5. So on Rotten Tomatoes, that's kind of like a rotten. I know. It's a bit harsh, but it's not certified fresh. It's rotten. As far as I'm concerned. So for me, Man of Steel, I waited 7 years. I went to see it. I was not impressed. I was so devastatingly disappointed. I really was. It could have been done a whole lot better. But, well, you might find it different than I did. I mean, Chris Nolan, sometimes in courses in the movie, I kept wishing that he actually directed the movie, not just what happened. I mean, I was really, really disappointed. I really was. I'm sorry to say this, but Warner Brothers, as far as Justice League is concerned, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. If this is your flagship for Justice League, it's not happening. I don't see how you can possibly milk this for a string of movies in one universe. It's not going to work. Anyways, so point here, Man of Steel, not a bad movie, not a terrible movie. I was disappointed because I'm a fan. I've waited 7 years, and I was so psyched about this movie. The trailers were incredible, but the movie didn't do justice. So if you're gonna see the movie tomorrow or over the weekend, don't raise your hopes too high. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't raise your hopes too high. There's a lot of things that were bold on their part. I mean, they were bold about some things. It was unconventional. It's not what you would expect, but still, it could have been a better movie. So I hope you enjoy the movie. I hope you go through this review. I made sure I had no spoilers and whatnot, but you should try watch the movie. If you enjoy it, I'm happy for you. I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have wanted to. I mean, I had high hopes. I had hopes of an 8 or a 7. I tried not to get my hopes up too high, but those trailers, there's no way your hopes are not going to be so high with those trailers. But I got what I got, and for me, 5 out of 10. So I hope you enjoy it. Watch it in theaters. It's coming out in North America tomorrow. I'm in the Caribbean. I'm in St. Kitts, so I saw it today, and I wasn't impressed. That's all I'm going to say. So enjoy Man of Steel. We're going to see more of him pretty soon, because I'm pretty sure I'm sorry, not Marvel. Warner Brothers is going to milk the hell out of this movie. So let's see what comes out of it. Peace out.